The University of Arizona University of Arizona Wildcats win this basketball game against the Utah Runnin Utes. The final score was 668 to 64. Um, the reason why I think that the Arizona Wildcats won this game was because uh, they had Solomon Hill defending strongly against one of their big shooters, and one of the Utah Utes big shooters is leverage, and he ended up with like 5 points in this game. So I think if you had a good defender against if the U of A has a good defender against somebody that is really known as a strong player on the opposite team, this in the case the Utah Utes, um, then the University of Arizona has a pretty good chance of taking care of business, and they did in the first half. They were U of A was they were really shooting good. From inside the key and outside the key, and I mean they were shooting awesome for three from 3 point land in the first half, and the Utah Utes couldn't buy a basket in the first half, and so that's why the University of Arizona was able to win and was able to have a nice start in the beginning. Um, there was another thing that I think that was very valuable in this game was that there wasn't as much stagnant activity from the Wildcats. They weren't shooting their three pointers easily. Just not not even just not moving around, not moving the ball around too much, and not actually physically moving around too much, and just kind of jacking up threes. And they didn't seem to be doing that this time so much. They were more interested in you know some of the dribble penetration, and they even though that they didn't get a whole lot of they didn't make a whole lot of their free throws, at least they were attempting to drive it inside and get that inside shot going. And there was just a lot of good things that were in the Wildcats' favor this time. I think that one of the reasons why the Wildcats did so well against the Utah Running Utes is that there wasn't a whole lot of pressure for some reason in this game. I mean, I guess the most of the pressure was from they had whenever they had been playing Colorado, or there was a lot of pressure whenever they had been playing Cal. But I don't think that it was as significant this time against the Utah Running Ute, because the Utah Running Utes, I think their record was 2 wins and 9 losses, or no, it was 3 wins and 9 losses in the Pac-12, and the University of Arizona was 8 wins and 4 losses. So it's a switch. Um, it's a total switch in between the strengths of one team and the strength of the other team. Um, so there wasn't as much pressure, and I think that's why the University of Arizona Wildcats were able to dominate in the first half. Then the second half came, and we were still doing okay. For the University of Arizona was still doing okay in in the second half for a little while, but then the Utah Running Utes, because at one point the University of Arizona Wildcats were ahead by like 13 points, but then the Utah Running Utes came storming back. and they knocked down two three-pointers back to back, and pretty soon, before you know it, it was a tie game. You know, it was crazy. So that was an interesting situation, but um, we had you know I think the we had Kevin Parham was he took the position of Brendan Ashley as far as the starting five, and the reason why was because um, Sean Miller wanted to have a strong veteran experience of the players. He wanted veteran experience players inside the key or inside the starting five, and that's why he wasn't so interested in having Brendan Ashley in there. But Brendan Ashley showed up pretty nicely. Um, I think that would kind of kick started him. Even though Brendan Ashley didn't start, he scored 10 points. So he did make a pretty good contribution. He had how many? He had four rebounds. Two of them were offensive, and two of them were defensive. So and I think that the offensive rebounds are really a nice contribution to the team. They make the team, they build up the confidence of the team. So there was, Kevin Parham had three offensive rebounds, which is in the end, which is very impressive. That makes me quite happy. And he had six defensive rebounds. So he had a total of 9 rebounds, which is fantastic. He did really, really nicely. 9 rebounds and Kevin Parham had 9 rebounds and 9 points. So he almost had a double double, almost. But let's see, it was. I think like I said, the offensive rebounds are very, very important. I think to the stability of the team. And we had Caleb Drzeski had 2 offensive rebounds. Solomon Hill had 2 offensive rebounds. Brendan Ashley had 2 offensive rebounds. If you look, I think those were the ones that made the most. One of them, they made a lot of the points. Um, of course, Mark Lyons didn't have any offensive rebounds, but he had 2 defensive rebounds. So and that's kind of expected because he's the he's this he's the point guard. You know, so we didn't really expect a whole lot from that. But he had 5 turnovers, but he had 5 assists. So he did make a contribution on the assist to turnover ratio was pretty good. And talking about a good assist to turnover ratio was Nick Johnson. He had 4 assists and 0 turnovers and 4 steals. And yeah, um, he also had uh, 4 rebounds. So he did nice all over. He made some contributions all over the board, all over the stat board. So that was nice. Um, he still hasn't got his shot. Nick Johnson still hasn't got his shot down because he only made 1 out of 3 from three-point land, and well, the big one was 1 out of 4 from free throw percentage, free throw attempts. And the free throw attempts, we had a really hard time with that this time. But I mean, we had 19 free throw attempts and we made 12 out of 19 free throw attempts. So we didn't do so well from as a percentage. The University of Arizona didn't do very well as a percentage from free throw land. But they made up for it in assists. They made up for it in steals. They made up for it in blocks. They made up for it mostly by points in the paint. We had 28. The University of Arizona had 28 points in the paint. as compared to the Runnin Utes, which had 24 points in the paint. But I think one of the big things that kept the Utah Runnin Utes in this game was that they had points off turnovers. They had 18 points off turnovers. The University of Arizona had only 11 points off turnovers, but and the University of Arizona only had 12 turnovers. So that's kind of getting in the range that is okay with Sean Miller. If he wanted like 10 turnovers or less, but 12 turnovers I think is not too bad, especially against the Utah Running Utes. Now, if it were against somebody that was a little bit um, more valuable than like Oregon or like UCLA or Cal, then or Colorado, then it would be pretty important the amount of turnovers. But we did pretty good. The University of Arizona did pretty good on the turnovers. But yeah, like I said, Utah Running Utes capitalized on those turnovers, and they made 18 points off of those turnovers. They converted 18 of our turnovers. They converted 18 points from our turnovers, so it was nasty. That was a nasty part of the stats. Uh, but anyway, it was a nice little step in the positive direction for the University of Arizona Wildcats uh, by winning 68 to the Utah Running Utes 64. Um, Another big test will be against Washington on I think on Thursday. But if we can, kind of get back in the swing of things and start winning a few games, then I think it'll definitely build up on the confidence of the team. And who knows, maybe Nick Johnson will start to shoot more and dribble penetrate more and be more of a contributor. Um, I was kind of hoping that Angelo Ochoa would make a good contribution this time, but he only made 2 points this time. He did have one offensive rebound, but he had 1 out of 5 from field goal percentage. So can't do it all. He had 1 assist, um, but he had 1 turnover. He had 1 block, but he had 1 personal foul. So anyway, hopefully the University of Arizona will take this small step with the small step of beating the Utah Runnin Utes over beating the Utah Runnin Utes and be able to capitalize on that and play a strong game against Washington and maybe sweep the Washington schools next week. That would be nice. But one game at a time, one game at a time. So anyway, the University of Arizona wins this game 68 to the Utah Runnin Utes 64.